Kat Chancellor here with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I wanted to start out a series of videos showing you how to put together these beautiful little ornaments using the Still Scenes bundle from the Holiday Catalog. Here in the Holiday Catalog on page 43, you see the wonderful bundle that comes with the stamp set, as well as the dies right here, and these wonderful little snow globes and snowflake sequins that can put together these nice projects. Well, I was really intrigued with some of the projects that were being posted as ornaments, and I love ornaments, and I thought that this project, this set really lent itself to making some beautiful ornaments. So what I've done here is I've created 3 separate styles based on the different elements that are available in this bundle. The first one I did is this wonderful little church. And let me just kind of pull in so you can see this. It's a wonderful little church that I've made with background trees. I've also used the snow puff paint and some glimmer paper. It's on a Night of Navy background that I've embossed. And then I have the base made out of silver glimmer paper and of course silver foil, and this wonderful, wonderful neat blue ribbon that comes from, I believe it's another stamp set, another bundle, suite of products, and I'll have that information for you. I then went from making the church to making this stag, beautiful stag, kind of going very simplistic on the same scene. I didn't want to get too complicated. It's basically whisper white with some vellum in the background, again using some of the puff paint, and pulling the stag out as in gold glimmer paper, and then using gold foil as my frame for my ornament. And then lastly, I did this little cottage house, and I did this simply by taking a background using your shimmery white cardstock, stamping it with Stays On, and then doing a watercolor wash, and then doing another cutout of the little house and popping that up on dimensional, so it's got kind of a 3D effect. And again, as you can see, I use a lot of the puff paint for my roof of my little house, and I just think it came out really, really nice. You can kind of see how it's kind of a dimensional. All of them are kind of like that. Even the church, you can see how I used puff paint for the roof of the church and on the trees. So they're very simple elements, and they're really not that difficult to put together. So I want to walk you through all the elements that you need to put these projects together. So what you're going to need, of course, you're going to need the Still Scenes stamp set and the framelits. Now, I have this magnetic board here, and I'm going to put this magnetic board, and let me back out so I can kind of show what I'm going to do. I have this magnetic board, and on this board this is how I keep track of my framelits. You're going to need this framelit. This is your base of your snow globe. Here is your filigree piece that you're going to need. I'm going to pull out first we're going to do the church, so I'm going to pull out the 2 church pieces here, and then of course we're going to need the trees, and I'm going to put this piece aside. Now that will create our ornament. The next piece that we want is we're going to need to go to our layering frames, our layering circles, and our stitch shaped. And in our layering circles, you want to pick the 2 largest circle dies. One is a scalloped and one is the circle. These are the two largest ones that are in your set. And we're going to just pull, oops, this is the wrong one. Here it is. The two largest ones. Now, what these are going to create are going to be the outside of your snow globe. And if you don't want to have a scalloped edge, then you will use this plain piece. Otherwise, I kind of liked having the filigree scalloped edge, especially with all this neat filigree detail going on here in the base. The next piece you'll need, and this is your Stitch Frames layering circle dies. Here they are. You're going to take the largest of that piece and we're going to put that piece aside. And that's the other piece that you're going to use, and you're going to put them aside. You're also going to need some embossing folders. Now, I use this Swirls and Curls embossing folders for the stag, but I really like this, and this is a retired item, but I really like this Seaside Texture Impressions for my church. But you can use either of these, and this is in the catalog. You can use either of these to come up with your background for your snow globe. So I'm going to pull that aside. And I'm going to use a silicone mat, and I'm always going to have a piece of Stampin' Up! Or some just a piece of paper here. You're going to need dimensionals, and I have all my dimensionals here, both small and large. I'm using a ribbon, and the paper that you're going to need some Whisper White, and I've got the thick cardstock. For this particular card, we're going to need both the silver foil and, if I can pull it out here, the silver glimmer paper, because that's going to create our base and our frame for our snow globe. You're also going to need a little piece of gold, and we're going to pull that out because that's going to be the inside of our church. And then we're just going to need a piece of Whisper White, which we can use this Whisper White here to cut out our churches and our trees. And I have some white glimmer paper. Let me find it here. Here it is. This is just some plain white that I'm going to use to cut out some other trees as well. And here's an example of that. Okay, so we're going to cut out some trees. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, oh, and I can't let us forget. Okay, and you're going to need a piece of Night of Navy, and I have a piece right here. All right, the first steps you want to do is you want to take your stitch-shaped framelit, and we're going to cut a piece of Night of Navy. We're then going to take our Whisper White, and I have lots of pieces of Whisper White I can use. I want to cut a back piece with this circle with Whisper White. I'm also going to cut that same piece with silver, because that's going to be our frame. So we're going to cut those. And then I'm going to use my little church, and I'm going to cut one white piece of my trees. So all these are going to go cut in Whisper White, and we could probably run those through once on that sheet, and then we're going to cut one silver. So let's go ahead and cut this piece out of our Night of Navy. And if I need this, I can go ahead and use my brush to take my pieces out. And again, I'm using this as to keep track of all my dies. So every time I use a die, I'm just going to put it over here. So now I have my Whisper White pieces. Now I'm going to need another piece of another one of these scallop pieces out of silver, and I'm going to need a piece of this filigree base out of silver as well. There's my filigree silver. There's my circle. Let me just go ahead and get all my pieces out of here. Now I'm going to take my silver glimmer paper and I'm going to take the outline of my base and I'm going to cut that out of my silver glimmer paper. Okay, so there's my base. Now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to cut some trees. Now, since I already have my trees cut, I don't have to do that, so I'm just going to put my trees right there. But if I didn't, then that's what I would cut out. The next thing I want to do is I want to take my Night of Navy and I want to emboss it with my embossing folder using my Big Shot. Now I will tell you, I have made 4 of these at once, and you can put 4 of these circles inside this embossing folder and do a mass production if you would like to. And there we go. There is our, this is going to be our background for our church. So here are our pieces, and here's our church. And now we're going to put our church together. But what I'd like to do really quickly is this is very easy to put together. And what I use is I use this Zycron adhesive. So I just slip this in here. Just makes it very easy to put these together. I rub it here. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull this paper. And pull off my piece. I have all my sticky on there already, and then I'm going to go ahead and just place this right on top of my glimmer paper. There you go. So there's my base. My base is done. So I'm just going to put my base right there. So now let's work on the church. What I've done here is I've cut some pieces of Post-it, and I've cut the Post-it so it fits the back of this building, and that it fits, this piece fits the spire of my church. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of foil, gold foil, and I'm going to kind of create the windows. But first I want to make sure that all of these pieces are punched out. I'm just going to kind of punch those out. Okay. And then it's very easy to find a little piece of gold foil. I mean, I've got tons of it right here that I've already used for other pieces that I can just very easily cut. And I can just take this piece and I can just put it right here. Now I'm just going to cut around this shape and peel this off, and this should fit nicely right here. And it does, and if it's just a little bit too big, all I have to do is trim it. So there's that piece. Now for this piece, again, just grab a piece, and I want to use all my little pieces of foil as much as I can, because I don't want to waste, products. So it's a good way to kind of use all these intermediate pieces. And that's pretty much the shape right there. That's going to fit our steeple. Okay, so let's move our gold foil out of the way for now. Take my little patterns, my little yellow sticky patterns. Now let me just move in a little bit here so you can see what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take my church and my steeple, turn them over, and I'm just going to get some Tombow glue, and I'm just going to kind of just very lightly just put a couple of beads of glue right along here, and then I'm just going to put some glue right along here. Now I don't want it to be too thick, so I might take my bone folder and maybe scrape some of it off or spread it around if it looks like it's too thick, because otherwise it's just going to kind of squirt kind of into my windows, and I don't want that to happen. And then I'm just going to take my gold foil piece and I'm just going to lay it right over like that. And I'm going to take this gold foil piece and I'm going to lay it right over like that. And it kind of slides nicely in place like that. Okay, so then I can turn it around. It looks like I've got it covered really well, very easy. And if it's poking out the top, then that can be very easily taken care of by just, you know, going to the back and kind of snipping a piece. And there we go. Now I'm going to take, I want my church to kind of sit forward a little bit. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Let me show you. This first church that I did, I just want you to notice that I glued the church onto the building. I glued the steeple onto the church, and then I popped that up with dimensionals. This church, well, rather both of these churches, I popped the steeple up with dimensionals and I left the church kind of flat. I think what I really like, and this is just, you know, you're just kind of, you can see how I popped it up. I think what I do really like is I do like better the effect of the church on and the steeple together. So that's what we're going to do for this one. But I just wanted to show you that you can do different things with this set. Okay. Again, I'm kind of using my bone folder because I really don't want this to be too thick. I kind of want it to be kind of thin and pasty. And then I'm going to grab it here and then just kind of lay it down, and you can line it up very easily right there on the top of your church. So now we have the church and the steeple. So let's go ahead and put that aside. Now we're going to take our background and our trees. Our trees are going to sit, and what I like to do now is to kind of take out my snow globe. So let me grab a snow globe here. I'm going to take out a snow globe, and what I do is I just kind of want to get an idea of what my view is here with my snow globe. And you can see how I have my 3 trees there. So I want to have an accent tree over here. Now, these are the exact same images, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this tree here, and I'm going to put, or rather this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut these two trees off here. I'm going to put this snow so it's right behind there. And then I'm going to link these two trees right here. And that's going to kind of give us kind of a nice background. And then when I put my church right here, and I'm going to line my steeple so it's right in the middle of my tree line, then I'm going to put this tree right there. So it's really not hard. Go ahead and you know, cut your trees off, put your little mound of glimmer paper. You kind of just hook your trees right there, lay your church down, grab your snow globe just to kind of get a feel of how it's going to fit, and then you can kind of arrange things like that. You see how that is? All right. So now I'm just going to take these off, and this is going to be my baseline right here. So I'm just going to kind of lift this, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Tombow right there, and I'm going to put this piece down there. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my Tombow, and I'm going to go ahead and put some Tombow here and on this piece right here. And I kind of want to leave these pieces, these pieces are going to be mostly Tombowed. I don't want this one as Tombowed up, so I'm going to take that one off, and I'll show you why in a minute. See, I'm kind of scraping some of that glue, so it's just not really thick. And we're going to put that one right there. And then we're going to put these two right here. So the Tombow is good because it's not going to dry right away. And you can kind of slip these two right between like that. And now we're going to lay these down. Okay, and then I'm going to press. And there we are. We have them on our background. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take some dimensionals, and I have both large and small. So I'll go ahead and I'll take my large, and I'll just put my large right up my church like that. I'm going to grab a small one, and basically it's one that I've cut in half like this, just a small one that I've cut in half, and I'm going to grab that, and we're going to put that one right there, and that's going to kind of hold that piece. And then if I want, I can put some other pieces on like that. So then let's just pull off our okay, so now I'm going to grab my globe again, because I kind of want to see where I want this, and I want it right about there. Okay, so I have my church and my trees. Now I'm going to take a very small amount of this snow fall accent. When you tip this upside down, you get a great big drop. Just get rid of that drop right away. Just get rid of that drop. Okay, we don't want a big drop. All we want to do now is I just want to put a line and I'm just going to squeeze it very gently. So I'm just going to get a line along my tree lines here. And I'm going to put just a simple line along my roof like that. That's all I want, is just a line. And then I'm going to move this, and I'm going to get my okay, so there we go. We have our puff paint. So now we're going to take our snow globe here. And the silicone mat really comes in handy because it's going to protect your surface. It's going to protect your fingers. Okay, so the last thing I need, and I should have I have a little tree. Here it is. And we're going to put that little tree is going to go right there on that side of our church. And I'm going to pop that little tree up on dimensionals. So let's just go ahead and put a couple of dimensionals. I'm just going to trim the bottom, and then we're just going to put that tree right there. There we go. And you can see how nice and pretty that tree line is. Now we're going to grab our snow globe. We can see how we're going to position it right there. Okay. And I'm going to, before I put my sparkles, I'm going to take this snow globe with my scissors, and I'm going to trim it probably just about a 1/16 of an inch around the edge of our snow globe, because it's a little bit too wide for what we want to do with it. And it's just around the edge, it's not on the bottom. So we'll put that aside. I'm also going to take my embossing buddy, and I'm just going to very softly kind of just put that in there, and then grab a soft sheet and just kind of wipe it out. Okay, and that's going to make sure we keep our static electricity. So I have here, I have Stamping Ice Glitter, and I'm going to kind of create a little cocktail. I have Dazzling Diamonds, and I have the Snowflake Sequence. I'm going to use my tool. Some people use like a little spoon, but I kind of want to, I like to start kind of like and just sprinkle some of my Dazzling Diamonds, put two of those, put a little bit of the two of the ice stamping glitter, and then I'm not as generous with this because I kind of want this to be kind of like the accent. So maybe just 2.5. You don't have to be too crazy. Now watch out for this. Do you see how I have this little thing? I already have a snow globe that I sealed up one of those little pieces. And you cannot take this apart once you've put this together. So let me just close my little cap pieces off. And this is a good time to look around and see if you find any little stars and put them in the middle. And okay, so there is our shaker. So now I'm just going to grab a piercing tool, and I'm going to pull up the back end of my snow globe. And then I'm going to place it very carefully, and I'm going to kind of place it at the bottom of where my church is. Kind of line up my trees a bit, and then place that down. Then I'm going to take this back end of my piercing tool, and I'm going to just on my silicone mat, I'm just going to rub that hard all the way around to ensure that it secures. So what little adhesive we have, because we had to cut that, is definitely going to secure. And there it is. How do you like that? See, isn't that pretty? Okay, now what we're going to do is, do you remember this piece here? This piece, I'm going to put that aside. We're going to take our snow globe form and we're going to put that right here, and we're going to trim that perfectly right there in our big shot. Okay, so here it is. Just punch that out, and there's the outside. And again, I'm kind of keeping all my... I can use this as for another piece, and there is the outside of our snow globe. Isn't that easy? That is so easy. So now all I have to do is remove the front of this piece here of my snow globe, and it's going to come right off. And then I just simply line up the bottom, and again I'm going to use my piercing, the end of my piercing tool, and I'm just going to run that around, and it's going to secure nicely. There we go. Now if I have any blue, I don't have to worry about the blue so much on the bottom, but if I have any blue, I can just trim this around the side. And I don't. See, it's come off very well, because the back is going to be this piece here. And you can write, you can put a sentiment there, or you can do a to from if you're going to give this to someone. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab some tear tape, and I'm going to stick a piece of tear tape right here along the bottom of our church base. I'm going to kind of make sure it's on there well, and I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to grab my base, and it fits perfectly right there. I'm just going to slide it in there, and then I'm going to grab this base, and I'm just going to press down to make sure that it adheres. And there is our freestanding snow globe. Now we're going to put the ribbon on, and this ribbon is from the Seaside Spray metallic ribbon. This is this really pretty blue metallic ribbon. And let me just move out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn my snow globe around, and I have it kind of on this nice soft mat, okay, because I really don't want to get it scratched. That's so pretty. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to take about, how much? Maybe about 8 inches of ribbon. Okay, maybe 8 to 10 inches of ribbon, depending on how long you want it to hang over the top of your snow globe. And I'm going to take some tear tape, and I'm going to run a piece of tear tape right here along the top of my snow globe. I'm going to take this off, and then I'm going to grab my ribbon like this. I'm going to make sure that I have it, and I'm going to have it come down about a 1/4 of an inch. And let's make sure, I want to make sure that it's right above my steeple, right there. Okay, so it's right above my steeple, right there. Okay, then I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to put another piece of tear tape kind of above above it just a little bit, right there, right on top of where I had the leather piece. I'm going to cut that. And this is a little bit longer than I want, so let me just trim that a little bit there. All right, I'm just going to gently just kind of make sure it's on there well. I don't want to put too much pressure, but I do want to gently press. I'm going to lift this piece of tear tape backing right here. And then I'm going to flip this ribbon up like this, and I'm going to flip this ribbon up like that, and I'm going to press. Now what that is going to make sure is that this does not ever come undone, okay? You have a nice secure backing. Now all you have to do is grab some Tombow glue and then add it generously to the back of your okay. And then if you want to grab something and just kind of make sure it's nice in all the grooves as well as on the surface, then you can do that. Okay. Clean my bone folder. Now we're going to take our backing. I'm going to turn it around. I put it on there. I'm going to turn it around, and then I'm just simply going to use and slide it around until all my little edges, all my little pieces of scallop match and they line up. And as soon as they line up nicely, I can lay this down, and again I can just kind of go around like this and make sure that I kind of glue it. And there you go. Now if you want to put another piece, you can, but I think that's really just fine. So there, and all we need is a little bow. And I've seen other demonstrators that have decorated this with pieces of kind of foliage, and that's certainly a option. You can do whatever you want with it at this point. I just wanted to get you to this point so you can make your own snow globe ornament and then decorate it any way you want. Okay, so that's my little bow that's going to go there. And the way I get my dimensional off is I use my tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick a piece here and make sure I have this correct. And I'm just going to, let's see, which is the pretty side. I'm going to put this right here. And then, and where I'm putting these glue dots are as important as the fact that you're using glue dots, because I'm kind of putting them along between the knot and the ribbon so that it doesn't come, someone can't pull it and it will come undone. And then we'll just adhere that right there. There we go. So there is your church ornament. And you can see how really pretty it came out. Come in and see how it came out really nice. And there you go. So hope you like this video. Stay tuned. I'll be making another video using another background using the same technique, and I'll show you how to put that together. This is Kat Chancellor, Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. All my instructions will be on my blog. Please go there, like my video, and sign up for my newsletter. Happy stamping!